Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. We are here to discuss an important development regarding Portugal's nationality law. On April 1st, 2026, Portugal's parliament approved a revised version of the nationality law with a two-thirds majority. The proposal introduces stricter rules for citizenship eligibility and also adds new provisions related to criminal convictions that may affect whether someone qualifies for nationality. However, there are still several important questions about what this means in practice. To help us understand the legal implications, I'm joined once again by Madalena Monteiro, Managing Partner at Liberty Legal here in Lisbon. Madalena, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Bushra. It's always a pleasure to join you, especially at a time where there's so much discussion and uncertainty around the Portuguese nationality law.
Let's start with the key development. On April 1st, Portugal's parliament approved a revised version of the nationality law. Can you explain what exactly happened?
Of course. So last year, right after the government's election, a process to change the citizenship law in Portugal has been initiated. After a long process in the parliament, in December 2025, the Constitutional Court has ruled the proposal unconstitutional, and in consequence, it was vetoed by the President of the Republic. After the veto, now in April 1st, yesterday, the Portuguese Parliament has approved a revised proposal to amend the nationality law. This proposal passed with a two-thirds majority, which reflects broad political support for the changes. The approved text maintains stricter rules regarding citizenship eligibility, and it also introduces additional provisions related to the criminal convictions that could affect whether an individual qualifies for Portuguese nationality. So overall, this proposal aims to tighten up certain aspects of the citizenship law.
Okay, and one of the questions we are hearing most often from the residents and investor relates to the residency timeline for citizenship. Did that change in the revised law?
Yes, the proposal still maintains a longer residency requirement for naturalization. So under the revised framework, the residency requirement would be 7 years for citizens of the European Union or countries that are part of the community of the Portuguese language countries, and for all the other applicants, the required residency period would be 10 years. This obviously represents a significant change comparing with the current 5-year path to citizenship. Also, the new law revokes the current counting mechanism that stipulates that the clock starts counting in the moment of the submission. But another important aspect as well is the introduction of a requirement of a sufficient knowledge of the Portuguese culture, as well as the Portuguese history and national symbols.
Another point that many people noticed is that the revised law does not include any clear transitional protections. What does that mean for people who are already living in Portugal or planning their citizenship application?
Yes, this is indeed one of the most discussed aspects of the approved proposal. The revised text does not explicitly mention any grandfathering protections for current residents or for people who are already in the process of building their eligibility regarding the number of years that are needed for the naturalization. However, under my opinion, and not only me, but shared also between the legal community, the applications that are filed under the previous regime also are still benefiting from the rule that counts the number of years from the moment of the submission of the applications. In other words, the law itself does not contain a specific provision protecting individuals who entered the system under existing framework regarding the number of years, but the counting mechanism will be the current one for the applicants that filed before the new law. However, it's important also to remember that the legislative process is not yet over. It's been almost 1 year since it started and it's going back and forth. Constitutional principles such as legal certainty may still play an important role on how these changes should be implemented or interpreted.
That brings us to a very important question, and many people are asking this now. Is this already law?
No, this is not a law yet. So as of April 1st, the proposal has been approved by the Parliament, but has not been yet enacted. The next step is the decree to go to the President of the Republic that has different options available. He may sign it and it will be officially promulgated. He may veto and it would return to the Parliament for reconsideration, and the Parliament may confirm with a majority of 2/3. Or the President and also 52 parliamentaries, like happened last year in December, may refer the proposal to the Constitutional Court for further review to assess if it complies with the Portuguese Constitution. Until one of these steps occur, the legislative process remains ongoing.
So we can say that in practical terms, the situation is still developing.
Yes, exactly. At this stage, the law has been approved. It's in an advanced stage, but it's not yet implemented. This means that the current nationality law still remains in effect until this legislative process is fully completed and the new law has been published in the official gazette. So it's important, extremely important for residents and investors to follow the developments carefully and rely on verified legal information rather than speculation.
And finally, Madalena, what would be your advice to people who are watching this and trying to understand what this means for them?
Sure. So my advice is to remain calm and informed. Portugal's legal system still includes several institutional safeguards, and significant legislative changes go often through multiple stages before they become law. The President's decision and any potential constitutional review will be key in determining the final outcome of this proposal. So for now, my advice is to monitor the process as close as possible and seek reliable guidance whenever it's necessary.
Madalena, thank you very much for helping us clarify these developments today.
Thank you very much, Bursaka, and also Get Golden Visa team for continuing to share clear and accurate updates in such a needed moment during this process.
Thank you everyone for watching. If you would like to stay updated on developments related to Portugal's citizenship law or the Golden Visa program, you can visit getgoldenvisa.com or follow us for verified updates. Thanks again.